delighted to welcome to Nurstead Road Chris Allen, the new manager of Devizes Town Football Club. Chris, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Can you tell us what's led you on your footballing journey to the Devizes Town dugout?
Yeah, so obviously opportunity come up in the last few weeks with Tom and Dan taking over as chairman. Obviously, I know them both really well. And like I said, this opportunity's come up, and it was a tough decision for me because I was really enjoying my role at Corsham last year. So last year I was player assistant manager at Corsham with Kieran. Like I said, really enjoyed that. Didn't necessarily have any plans to move on to anything new this year, but this opportunity come up. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought it was probably the right time for me to try and almost take myself out of my comfort zone a little bit and just try something new. Obviously, I'm really excited by the challenge. I know it's a massive challenge, but yeah, really looking forward to it.
Is Devizes Town a football club that means something to you?
It is. I've not been associated with the club for quite a long time now, but obviously I'm from Devizes myself. This is where I started my footballing journey, and I've always wanted to one day come back, whether it was to finish playing here, whether it was to manage here, I don't know, but I wanted to do some sort of role at the club. And again, that's why I've decided now is probably the right time.
So what was it that Dan and Tom told you that made you decide to cross the Nurstead Road threshold?
I think it's not. I know from previous experience, it's not easy to get into management. You can have a good reputation, you can have a very good playing reputation, but sometimes it's about who you know rather than what you've done previously. So I just thought that I've got the opportunity now. Let's take it and see how it goes.
So this is obviously your first job in management. What are your ambitions for Devizes Town Football Club?
I think, especially the first season, I think it's going to be a lot of transition. I know probably everyone says that when they come into a club, it's a transitional period, and we do want to hit the ground running, but I also know at the same time that there will be a lot of changes. That's on and off the pitch. So my plans already are everybody that's been a part of Devizes last season is absolutely more than welcome to be there at the start of this season, as it should be. They'll all be invited back to pre-season, and I'll be speaking to players in the summer as well and trying to get some new faces as well. So I just think it needs some new blood as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because as a Devizes supporter, it's been the best of times and it's been the worst of times. You know, the relegation from the Toolstation Western League, and then the incredible success that the side have enjoyed this season in the Wiltshire Senior League. So it's interesting to know where you're going to be inheriting a side. Is it a side that's been on the up, or is there still that spectre of the relegation from Step 6, which is still very close in the memory?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to judge at the moment because I think everybody knows that the jump up is probably quite big from the Wilts League into either going into the Western or Hellenic, whatever it might be. And like you said, Devizes have had a great season last year, so they're used to winning at the moment. So I don't want to take that mentality away from the team, but at the same time, we've got to realise that the last 3 seasons, Devizes have been at that level. They've been a club that have been at the bottom of the table in each of those 3 seasons. So just trying to gauge how big the gap is between the 2 leagues and how much. I think one thing I would definitely say is I don't know a lot of the players that well. Obviously, we'll get to know them in pre-season and we'll work as closely as we can with them. But I've got a lot of contacts outside of Devizes, and if I think that maybe we probably need a bit more experience in the side, that is probably where I'll look to get some players in first of all.
So stylistically, what am I going to be served up next season? Are we going to become the Millwall of Wiltshire, or are we going to become the Manchester City?
Well, a mixture of both, hopefully. Again, a lot of it's dependent on the surfaces that you play on, and I know that Tom and Dan have already got big plans for the pitch and things like that. So all these little things make a big difference. But I've been around non-league football enough to know that you've got to have the ugly side of the game as well. So you can't just expect to just play pretty football. But again, my actual philosophy of football is to play football. It's something I've always wanted to do as a player. So that's what I'll do as a manager.
Now, one final question. It's been great getting to know a little bit about you, a bit about your background, but what I'm interested in is the influences on you. Now, you've mentioned earlier in the interview your history at Corsham, your relationship with Kieran Baggs. Who have been the managers and perhaps the players you played with that have had an impact on your footballing philosophy?
Philosophy-wise, probably going back more towards my sort of like my Swindon days, back in the days of philosophy of actually playing football. But when you come out of that side of the game and you go into non-league football, I think football changes slightly, and a lot of it becomes about man management, looking after your players. Having the tactical side of the game is brilliant, and if you're good at that, then that's great. But one thing I've learnt from Kieran in particular, working with him, is how good a man manager he is, how he treats his players, and he's got total respect, and that's why he gets people to perform for him on the pitch.
Chris, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. It's fantastic to meet you. It's fantastic to introduce you to the fans, and we look forward to keeping an eye on how you get on this season.
Cheers, looking forward to it.